Hi, this is Carl from Linguagenesis, and what I want to do in this series of videos, which I'm going to entitle First Impressions of Language Learning, is to discuss the first occasions on which we, as native speakers of English, learn a modern foreign language for the first time. Traditionally, and in years gone by, the majority of people would have begun to learn a modern foreign language from the age of 11 when they entered senior school. But particularly where the first decade of the 21st century is concerned, a number of primary schools have introduced after-school language clubs or even implemented a modern foreign language into the curriculum. And that's what I specifically want to talk about in this video. First impressions and realities of language learning within the primary education sector. Now, one problem which immediately springs to mind as far as I'm concerned is the introduction of the after-school club, whereby you have a teacher within a classroom situation and to which everyone in the school aged between 4 to 11 years of age has been invited. After-school clubs are more often than not parent-funded rather than government-funded, although Ofsted have the privilege to come and observe the goings-on within the after-school club. The teacher is generally guaranteed minimal pay, and what you have as well are a number of excuses which parents give to leave their children at school for an hour longer than usual. When school is out, many children are rather tired, motivation is low, particularly amongst younger members of the school, younger pupils of the school. You then have children who attend these after-school clubs simply because their friends wish to attend and not because the child in question thinks, I want to learn a modern foreign language, this will be exciting. But even so, we can't necessarily and automatically assume that a child is going to attend the after-school club in the awareness that he or she definitely wants to learn a modern foreign language. I think for children it's primarily, firstly and foremost, a case of enjoying a new experience. But where the after-school club is concerned, there are many factors which come into play which destroy this level of the child hoping to be able to enjoy what they're about to attend. And I'll just explain that briefly in just a moment. When the teacher is inside the classroom, he or she has two options as far as having children between 4 and 11 years of age in one classroom is concerned. He or she can either try to teach the class together and try to involve everyone in the same activity or series of activities, or he or she, the teacher, can decide to split the children up into groups depending on which sub-age group they fall into, and that would arguably make it easier for the children to learn at their own pace, because we can't expect a child aged 4 to learn in the same way as a child aged 11, or even as quickly, nor can we expect a child aged 4 to understand the same wording and the same level of explanation from the teacher as an 11-year-old would be able to explain. But in light of the fact that the after-school club, as I've just mentioned, guarantees the teacher in question only a minimal amount of pay, that teacher will be thinking, I should only really be doing the bare essentials. I shouldn't be feeling as though I'm in a situation whereby parents are putting pressure onto the head teacher of the school. The head teacher is then transferring that pressure onto the teacher to promote differentiation, to do lots of work and lots of preparation outside classroom time to cater for the individual needs of each sub-age group, as it were. So I think in light of that reality, and this is something which I've experienced firsthand, causes children who are much younger than, let's say, the 9, 10 and 11-year-olds to actually drop out. They become tired, they become disillusioned because it's after school, they're very tired, they're lacking motivation, and they're actually not able to keep up with the teacher as far as understanding the explanations which he or she is giving is concerned. So it's a no-win situation, whichever way you look at it. You can try to focus on the younger end of the age spectrum, but that can lead to the detriment of the older end leaving because they feel as though where the teacher is doing the same things over and over again. Or you can actually cater for the needs of the older end by offering activities which are appealing to them, but which at the same time the younger end can't understand because the explanations are too complicated. If we were to look at the implementation of language learning in primary schools as far as school hours is concerned, then we do have a slightly different situation. We have the same age group in the same classroom during the same time period learning a modern foreign language, and it's arguably a lot easier to cater for the learning styles of a particular and smaller age range, for example, the 7 to 8 year olds or the 8 to 9 year olds, than it would be for, let's say, the 4 to 11 year olds in the after school club. But what we have as well is topic-based learning, which I'm going to be discussing in part 2. Topic-based learning whereby children are having to focus on topics which aren't really going to be of interest to them, such as explaining what they do on a day-to-day basis. We can't expect young children to develop such a huge, profound degree of fluency at such a young age, and that's what the curriculum is tending to do, and that's very unrealistic. It's got to be more about enjoying the language, learning something easy, doing activities which are appealing to whichever age group it might be that you're teaching. But it's also down to the selfish motives of the head teacher of the school, who more often than not decides that the language which the children are going to be learning is French. And why is this the case? It's because they believe that French will be the language which they'll be taught when they get to secondary school, because there are more French teachers out there able to teach languages than there are, let's say, people who have gone to university and have got a degree in German or Spanish and then gone on to do a teaching degree. So what the head teachers are doing are preparing the children for what will come in the school system later on, rather than, let's say, creating a democracy whereby the children get the right to choose which language it is they'll learn, or even consulting the parents. And arguably the majority would be in favour of learning Spanish. So there are a few of the realities which occur within the primary education sector, some of the flaws and some of the selfish motives as far as the school administration is concerned. I'll be discussing those in a little bit more detail in the second part of this series, but the focus on that will be first impressions on and realities of learning a language in the secondary education system.